So hello again. Now you've got a good idea of who your ideal client is from the above the line perspective. And it's time to move on through this exercise with a new set of questions to answer that you may have had a sneaky peek at. But this is where it gets really interesting. I love this because as we dive below the waterline and explore the deeper levels of your client's thinking, it becomes really interesting. So it's time to kind of model your client, become your client. And this is where the true distinction comes between thinking like a business owner and thinking like a marketer, because we have to wear many hats when we run our own businesses. And this is the time to ask yourself the question, what do I need to do so that I can start thinking like a client? Well, we have to really truly enter your client's world and understand everything we possibly can about their experience of the problem that we can help them with. And as a therapist, you already know, I'm sure, but please try not to make assumptions as we go through this to really understand their problem and the impact of the problem on it. So let's go through the questions. What solution or result do they want? Now, by the way, a lot of people come unstuck at this very first question. You know, it's more than I want to get rid of whatever it is. What if they get rid of something, what do they want instead? Once the problem is solved, then what do they want? So remember what you did with the your vision exercise, where you looked beyond what you wanted in the future to the consequences of that. This is a similar question. What value do they place on having that solution or result? Now, I know I keep using this example of stopping smoking, but actually, value-wise, it's a really, really important and very easy one to understand because, of course, to buy cigarettes are so expensive. So, having somebody stop smoking is really valuable because in actual monetary terms. Other people will say, well, you've given me my life back. Well, what price? Life. So, please don't underestimate the impact that you have on your clients. And we need to think about what is that impact and what's the value of it. What is your client's greatest fear? And related to that, what keeps them awake at night in relation to their problem? How do the symptoms of the issue show up in their life? So in other words, how do they know that they have the problem? And that seems like a really weird question, but I love this question because sometimes we go through life and we kind of don't know we have a problem until we come into a situation that makes us realize, oh my goodness, I've got a problem with rejection or whatever it is, and it's showing up in my life in this way. So what has actually triggered them into getting help? Because a lot of people, as you well know, can take years and years and years to seek help. So what was the thing that got them to seek your help? What have they tried that hasn't worked? People try a lot of stuff sometimes before they find the thing that really helps them, or more importantly, the person that helps them. What do they believe is possible? Do they even believe that therapy will help them? If they had a magic wand, what would they want to have happen? That's a great question, the magic wand question. And what questions do they have that if they could get the answer, it would be priceless? So those are very soul-searching questions that I hope that just going through them has made your juices start flowing there to get your creativity going to answer those questions. And there is a final piece, which is the $6 million question. It is, what do they secretly want? So for example, what is their stated desire versus their secret desire? And I'm going to give you an example of the financial industry. Their stated desire is, I need a pension or whatever it might be that they need. But the secret desire is to not wake up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. worrying about how will they live their life in old age. And let's use a therapist as an example. We often talk about the fact that our therapists want more clients and a busy practice. But what is the secret desire? To know that you haven't wasted money on your training. I know that, when we put that to a whole group of therapists in a workshop recently, there was a real palpable, oh, definitely in the room. So, we know that kind of thing is really, really important, but it is not a desire that you necessarily would verbalize. So what is the conversation going on inside of your client's head? We need to tap into that language we use, they use every day, not our jargon, and, tap into what they really want. Is it peace? Is it a good night's sleep? Is it to feel whole? Is it confidence in themselves? Is it happiness? Is it health? And is it something else? Now, you may not be able to answer all those questions, and that's fine. Just write down as many of the answers as you can. Once you've done that, you're going to have a pretty good idea of who your ideal client is, their profile, their fears, their desires, and now you can focus on that one person having that profile in front of you all the time. And I really hope that now you can see why we go on about understanding your client. You can see how powerful that is. And, making sure that you understand their points of pain and the things that keep them awake at night. We also need to understand their hopes and dreams. Because when you understand all these things, you can build amazing levels of rapport with them by showing that you are perfectly in tune with the things they want to move away from, their pain, and the things they want to move towards, which is their dreams. And to quote the great marketer Dan Kennedy, if you can describe another person's problems better than they can, they automatically and unconsciously assume you have the solution. So far, you've invested quite a lot of time now really getting to know your ideal client. And of course, the other thing is we need to listen. And this is an ongoing process. The day that we say, yes, I totally understand my client, is really the day that our business is probably in trouble. We are constantly finding out more and more and more about the therapist that we work with, and understanding more and more and more about what happens in their minds and what drives them. And that indeed is your task too. So in the next video, we're going to go into how to start to communicate your knowledge and build really great rapport with your client through your story. I will see you in the next video.